Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Lunchtime with Live Animals. I'm Forrest Urban, back here at the Natural History Museum, here in the insectary behind the scenes, to talk about slime. And are invertebrates slimed to survive? Well, very few are, because most invertebrates keep all their slime on the inside. They're like us, keep all the goo on the inside, and the outside is pretty clean and tidy. But that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with slime. Slime is a really important survival adaptation and strategy for some few, but some invertebrates. And that's what we're going to look at today is how do some invertebrates use goo and slime and spit and foam and what for? So let's get into it. First thing that we're going to look at, I'm going side to side here because I have some live animals that are out and they're a little antsy. So pardon my my head back and forth here. So the first thing that we're going to look at are spittle bugs. Now maybe you've seen these out before. Let's see if I can get my screen to go right here. Maybe you've been out in the park or in nature or in a field or whatever, and you've seen these plants that look like somebody's spit on them, like they have loogies on them. Well, this is a specific type of insect, and that is kind of spit, kind of not. You're going to be shocked when you find out what it is. But inside this mass of foam is a little teeny tiny creature. The Nymph Stage is called a spittle bug. Here. They're little teeny tiny guys with like big red eyes. They're really, really cute. And you can easily just like move the foam away and see them. And then even watch them rebubble up their little protective layer. But it's not spit. It's not from their mouth. It's actually urine. It's pee. It's excrement. And so the way that these guys survive is they are plant juice drinkers. And they have to drink a whole lot of it because there's not a lot of nutrition in the plant juice. A lot. So much so that they pee a lot. And that's what all of this bubbling is it's urine. But it comes in super handy because it provides a lot of protection. It's very acidic, and they're down sequestered in the middle of it. But do they breathe? How do they breathe? Do they breathe through the bubbles? What's happening? Well, it's funny is that they actually do kind of snorkel. Here's one creating its starting to bubble it up there. And so they will snorkel through the tip of their abdomen. They will breathe through that until they've popped a lot of the little tiny bubbles to create a large center bubble, and then they'll breathe through that. Now, this is also part of their life stage because this is only the nymph stage, right? The immature stage. And so they will go through pupal development and turn into what becomes the full-grown adult that we call a froghopper. And so this is what this species of froghopper looks like. And then they'll leave the safety of the spit layer and hop away. Now, they are great hoppers, phenomenal hoppers. They said that they can jump 100 times their body length. That's massive. Remember, we looked at jumping spiders who could jump. This is a daring jumper, almost 50 times their body size. But what's even funnier is that these guys, they're not predators, right, like a jumping spider is, but there's a species of froghopper that is a mimic of a daring jumping spider. Amazing. Here's what they look like side by side. Super cool, right? And super jumpers. Other things that use slime and they're part of their life cycle are the Vinegaroons that we've seen before. So a Vinegaroon, right, is that big, ancient-looking creature. It's also called a whip scorpion because they have that long tail that shoots acetic acid. Well, the females, when it's time for them to lay their egg mass, they'll extrude all the eggs from their body, wrap them in slime or a mucus, right, that locks in the moisture, keeps them from drying out, and holds them in a sack. So then she'll arc her abdomen up, crawl underground, create a burrow, and carry these. They're like per weight. They're about, each one is about the weight of a bowling ball, and there's like 30 of them around for about 2 months until eventually all of the individual eggs turn into an individual Vinegaroon or whip scorpion. Here's another picture of one with their abdomen arced up, and the sac is suspended from underneath. And then they all climb up onto her body. They have a suction cup mouth. They suction cup to her until it's time for them to make their first molt. So it's another 2 months of maternal care beyond dragging around the bowling ball like eggs until they take their first molt. This is some that have just molted. Their chelicera are red. Antennae are kind of red when they first molt. And then they go off and they find their own burrow. Super cool, right? We'll look at some of those when we get to our creature cam. Another thing that you may not realize has kind of a foamy, slimy portion of its life cycle are all praying mantids. So all praying mantids, this is an orchid mantid, start out as an egg, and the eggs are laid in like a foam, slimy sack initially until it hardens and becomes less foamy. So this is an orchid mantid. She's putting her eggs down into this slimy, foamy egg sac. It's also called an ootheca. She'll usually attach it to something else, to some other substrate. And so this mass is very leathery, very protective, and it protects them from drying out and from predators. Let's look at one that's emerging from the egg mass. So here's one. It's slid out. It has its whole body streamlined. It's slid through the egg sac, and it's going to slide down a single filament of silk with its legs and its antenna and everything tucked in to the main body until eventually slides all the way down. It's suspended. Now it can go boing, 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 and boing all of its legs and its antenna and everything out. Super cool. Now, all praying mantids do this regardless of the species. The species is called the Kung Fu praying mantis. And they're super cute. We're going to look at some of our praying mantis mamas and egg sacs and some babies that we have. So let's do that now. Let's go to our creature cam. Let's see here if I can switch the camera and look at, first of all, let's look at this little teeny tiny praying mantis. She is about a month old, and I have about 50 of these little guys, so a lot of them, right? They have a really high reproductive rate because they don't all make it. There's so many things that can happen to them. They have to go through about 10 molts before they become an adult. That's a precarious situation every time. Something could go wrong. They can get eaten by lots of other praying mantids, their siblings, spiders, whatever. So there's lots of things that can happen to a young praying mantidling. That's why they have such a high reproductive rate. Super cute. And then let's look at an egg sac. So this is the old, sorry about all that shaking. This is the old egg sac here. See how leathery it is? I sliced it open, dissected it into 2 halves so that we could look at the inside. Look at all those cells. Each cell contained an individual egg. It's a perfect little purse with all these individual compartments surrounded in a protective foam that started out slimy and then turned it into a solid. Super cool. Now, before we turn off that cam, I want to show you this one that's kind of I would say a slime mimic, right? These are those swallowtail caterpillars that resemble bird poop, right? And what's slimier than bird poop? You can see its little legs down there, so you know it's not a real bird poop. Normal bird poop doesn't have a head and legs and walk around. All right, so that's a form of camouflage. Looking like poop. Amazing. And let's see if I can sneak up on this female praying mantis. Oops, camera. Here. She's been watching this presentation very keenly. Eyeing the whole thing here. She's been eyeballing me the whole time. Let's see here. Hey. So you can see how her exoskeleton really looks like a dead leaf. Just trying to get me. Whoops. Too close, too close. But we can look at another one of her egg sacs here. See, it's very, very leathery, very protective from the elements. All right, then I wanted to show you our Vinegaroon. All right, so Vinegaroons really look ancient because they look prehistoric. They also look like, I would say, a giant ant. You can smell the vinegar. They're about 350 million years old. There's only one species of Vinegaroon on the planet, and they live here in the United States. You can find these in New Mexico and Arizona. So that's 150 million years before the dinosaurs. They've been doing this, drag the bowling ball sack of eggs around for that long, and it's worked just fine. So she would attach them to the bottom of her abdomen, arch her abdomen up, and then really just kind of hunker down in her burrow for 2 months and not eat while they develop. She can live, for about 8 to 10 years. For the most part, just doing that a couple of times in her lifetime, if at all. Right? That doesn't even count in the mating process for these guys is also quite an ordeal. Mating process, the courting goes on for hours. There's lots of singing and dancing, and it's pretty involved. That's for another day. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to your questions. Here's the the praying mantis trying to creep up on us here. And thanks for watching. We look forward to your questions. As always, you can find us on Instagram. Thank you much.